There's a lot of talk about the gradual breakdown of social cohesion around the world. The tendency is to push the worst of everything directly under the spotlight because, unbelievably, that's what people want to see. So then the individual, discouraged about what he sees, begins to increase his mental distance from the people around him. People around him are exposed to the same traumatic focus on the internet, so they begin to do the same. They remove themselves from each other. They create distance between each other. We're left with the indirect disintegration of old social networks for a new social network that moves at light speed. Anomie is a natural development in this initial shock about the truth of our reality and our fascination with scandal and disorder. Anomie is a social condition defined by the breakdown of moral values or standards for individuals to follow. The term was believed to have been popularized by French sociologist Émile Durkheim. Durkheim described it as derangement and called it the malady of the infinite, because desire without limit can never be fulfilled. It only becomes more intense. For Durkheim, anomie arises more generally from a mismatch between personal or group standards and wider social standards. This mismatch can lead to the lack of a social ethic for some individuals, which produces more deregulation in some cases and an absence of legitimate aspirations. Later in 1897, in his studies of suicide, Durkheim associated anomie with the influence of a lack of norms or norms that were too rigid. However, such normlessness or norm rigidity was a symptom of anomie caused by the lack of differential adaptation that would enable norms to evolve naturally due to self-regulation. Either to develop norms where none existed or to change norms that had become too rigid and obsolete. So a good example would be what we're dealing with today with inflation. You're supposed to grow up, go to school, buy a house for your family, and buy a nice car and have nice clothes and do all these things. But the majority of people are never going to be able to do that. And there's a disassociation between what you're expected to do and what the reality is that you're going to be able to do just by hard numbers. And then that's going to generate a feeling of anomie. You're going to be thinking about alternative ways of making money, or maybe ridding yourself of the goals of the past. Robert Merton in the mid-20th century proposed strain theory. The theory suggests a deviant behavior arises when individuals experience a disjunction between culturally prescribed goals and the legitimate means available to achieve these goals. According to Merton, societies generally have culturally defined goals such as wealth, success, and social status, which are widely accepted and valued. Not everyone has equal access to the means to achieve these goals. When individuals are unable to attain these goals through conventional means, they may experience a state of anomie or normlessness, leading to frustration, strain, and potential involvement in deviant behavior. Merton identified 5 possible adaptations to the strain. The first is conformity. Accept cultural goals and the means to achieve them. This adaptation is characterized by adherence to social norms and values, along with efforts to pursue success through socially approved channels. According to Merton, conformity represents the most common and socially accepted response to strain within society. Individuals who conform to the cultural goals and means are typically law-abiding citizens who seek to attain success, wealth, and social status through education, employment, and other conventional avenues. Merton's conformity rule underscores the importance of socialization and adherence to societal norms in shaping individuals' behavior. It suggests that most people strive to achieve culturally prescribed goals through legitimate means, reflecting a desire for social acceptance and conformity to prevailing norms. The second is innovation. Accepting cultural goals, but reject legitimate means to achieve them. Individuals who innovate seek to attain societal goals such as success, wealth, or status, but do so through unconventional or illegal methods. This might include engaging in criminal activities like theft or fraud, or pursuing success through non-conventional pathways such as gambling or drug trafficking. According to Merton, innovation arises when individuals face limited opportunities to achieve success through legitimate means, but are still motivated to pursue culturally defined goals. In such circumstances, individuals may innovate as a means of circumventing the structural barriers that inhibit their attainment of success. However, this adaptation can lead to social disapproval, legal sanctions, and further strain within society. Ritualism, abandonment of cultural goals, but adhere to legitimate means. I'd actually consider myself a ritualist, too. Ritualism occurs when individuals adhere strictly to prescribed means for achieving success, but abandon or modify the pursuit of culturally valued goals. Instead of striving for conventional markers of success, such as wealth or social status, Ritualists focus on maintaining a sense of routine, order, and stability in their lives. These individuals often become disenchanted with the pursuit of traditional success and may adopt a more modest and risk-averse lifestyle. They continue to adhere to societal norms and rules, often finding satisfaction in the routine and stability provided by their adherence to familiar rituals and routines. Retreatism. Reject both cultural goals and legitimate means withdrawing from society. Retreatism often occurs when individuals both reject the culturally prescribed goals of success and legitimate means of achieving them. They may withdraw from mainstream society altogether and reject its values, often turning to alternative lifestyles or substance abuse as a means of coping with their sense of alienation. These individuals may live on the fringes of society, disconnected from conventional social institutions and norms. They may find solace in alternative communities or subcultures that offer a sense of belonging and acceptance outside of mainstream society. However, their rejection of societal norms and values can lead to social marginalization and may contribute to their continued involvement in deviant or criminal behavior. Rebellion. Reject both cultural goals and legitimate means, seeking to replace them with alternative goals and means. They may perceive the existing social order as unjust or oppressive and advocate for radical social change or revolution. Rebellion often involves challenging existing power structures and institutions, as well as promoting alternative ideologies or movements aimed at transforming society. Those who embrace rebellion may engage in protests, activism, or other forms of dissent to express their discontent with the status quo and work towards our vision of a more equitable or just society. They may organize social movements, advocate for political change, or participate in acts of civil disobedience to challenge perceived injustices and bring about social transformation. Merton's theory of anomie highlights the role of social structure and cultural values in shaping patterns of deviant behavior and has been influential in understanding the relationship between societal pressures and individual actions. I definitely put myself in the ritualist camp. In my mind, society has gone off the rails with its expectation of wealth. And it's the people around you too, not the people in power necessarily. It's the people you see around you who are insistent upon appearing that they're wealthy even when the majority of them aren't even close. These are misguided ideas. Once you get your mind around the idea that you can balance what you have and seek longer-term goals at your convenience, it's better for your life. Of course, there's always more that's needed, but some have all their needs met, but still think they need more. Being the ritualist, I desire to stick to the rules society has put in place, but I also understand that the law can deviate from the service of individuals at some point. We have to know when to rebel when laws become unfair and they're not effectively mitigated. Critics of the concept of anomie have raised several concerns. One significant criticism is that anomie theory tends to oversimplify the complex relationship between societal breakdown and individual behavior. The concept of anomie may be overly deterministic, implying that when societal norms break down, deviant or immoral behavior is an inevitable outcome. This determinism can neglect the agency and choice of individuals, implying that they have no capacity to maintain their ethical principles or adapt to changing circumstances in morally acceptable ways. We've developed a system that no single one of us controls, which is good and bad. It's good because no single bad actor can control it, but it's bad because when the system fails to the detriment of the participants, sometimes nothing can be done to fix it. Regardless of how intense the information flow becomes, there does need to be global rigidity when it comes to human necessity. Excessive rigidity is thought to lead to anomie, but if it does, we have to learn how to tolerate it and understand why certain principles are non-negotiable. We must uphold universal human necessity at all costs in all areas of the world. No state should desire or receive absolute autonomy from the expectation of necessary universal human morality, and no state should be absolutely released from the obligation of upholding it. A reasonable rigidity can release one from feelings of existential abandonment and the emptiness of moral relativism. Help us grow the channel by liking the video and subscribing to the channel.